Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I'm your host Safa and you are listening to Crime Pod. The time when I covered the case of Thane Massacre, I was shocked to see a woman killing her entire kin for what? Money, property and love. That didn't pan out. I just couldn't wrap my head around that, always thinking, are these worldly things that much important that someone can easily end the lives of those who have known them since the day they were born? And what do they get at the end of doing this atrocious act? Nothing but guilt. Guilt to live without family, guilt to live without the things for which they had done it, and live labeled as a murderer. Today's case is of someone who was broke, was knee-deep into debts and had some skeletons in his closet he wanted to remain hidden, resorted into something that no one had even imagined. This is the story that shook the whole India. The story of Husnain Warekar. A story so complex that it still, even after 8 years, has people wondering, was what's ostensible really the truth? Our story takes us back to February of 2016 and it takes place in Kasarwada Valley, a small town in Thane, Maharashtra, India. There, in a 2-story house on Godbandar Road lived Unfathomable Warekar's family from Wareker clan, which moved to the area over a century ago and were celebrated members of the society. All of the family members were well educated and held good social status. The family included Unfathomable Warekar, aged 55, his wife Askari Warekar, aged 50. Anwar and Askari had 5 children, eldest daughter Shabina Shaukat Khan, aged 36, their only son Husnain Warekar, aged 35, second daughter Batul Warekar, aged 30, third daughter Maria Fakki, aged 28, and youngest daughter Sobiya Bharmal, aged 22. Husnain Warekar was married to Jabin Husnain Warekar, aged 28, and they had 2 daughters, 6-year-old Mubashira Husnain and 4 months old Umaira Husnain. Shabina Shaukat Ali was also married and had 3 children, 16-year-old Safiya Shaukat Khan, 12 years old Anas Shaukat Khan, and 5 years old Ali Hassan Shaukat. Maria Irfan Fakki had 2 sons, 7-year-old Umar Irfan Fakki and 4 years old Yusuf Irfan Fakki. Sobiya Bharmal had a 5-month-old daughter named Alfia Bharmal. Batul Warekar was not married as she was mentally ill and were on her medicines. This made it difficult for her to find a suitor. Anwar Warekar was well off and, as I told you earlier, was well known around the neighborhood. Warekars had a tradition to hold family feast every weekend, which each of them did in turns. Now let's come to Husnain Warekar and have a look at his life. Described as shy and religious man, Husnain Warekar, according to his relatives, was very close to his family and, like others in his family, was well educated. He had a degree in commerce and was working as an assistant to a chartered accountant in a firm in Navi Mumbai, where he was being paid Rs 80,000 a month. As I told you that it was a tradition of Warekars to host a family dinner every weekend, and this time it was Husnain's turn to host it. For this, he invited all of his sisters and 3 other relatives to his house on February 27, 2016. All of the family were present, save the other 3 relatives who couldn't make it for the feast due to some reasons. Items on table included tandoori chicken, mutton tandoori, samosa, sabudana kebabs, pomfret, bread, mutton khichdi, cold drinks and faluda. Everyone ate to their heart's content. They were all pleased and praised Husnain for his hospitality. He urged them all to have faluda, which he had personally bought for them. After having dinner, they all were a little groggy and went to sleep. Anwar Warekar, his daughter Shabina Shaukat Khan, Maria Irfan Fakki and Husnain's wife Jabin were sleeping upstairs with all of their 6 children, including Sobiya's 5-month-old daughter Alfia, while Askari Warekar was sleeping in the living room downstairs with Batul Warekar and Sobiya Bharmal. During the wee hours of February 28, 2016, when the sound of screams and clanging steel shattered the still darkness of the normally serene Sunday morning, Altamash Warekar, a neighbor and a relative of Warekar's, was the first who went to check it. As it was a close-knit community, a crowd gathered and they saw a young woman who had blood gushing out from her neck, was banging a steel cup and was trying to get their attention from the 2nd floor of a house. The house was none other than Warekar's house and the woman was Sobiya Bharmal. From what neighbors made out of her incoherent screams, she was saying, बचाओ, भैया ने सबको मार डाला. Help, brother has killed everyone. When the crowd tried to enter the house, Sobiya signaled that he has a knife, so one of them called police. While police was on their way, the crowd tried to open the window to take out Sobiya because at that point she had fell unconscious. They dislodged the window grill and took out Sobiya, who was rushed to the hospital where doctors declared her condition as critical due to a deep gash on her throat just an inch from her windpipe, resulting in her losing copious amount of blood. At around 4 a.m., police entered the house and found splatters all around the walls. They started looking for Husnain, but he was nowhere to be seen. Then one of the policemen pointed towards a room in which a body was hanging by a ceiling fan with a cleaver in its hand and blood all over its clothes. The body was none other than Husnain's. Yes, he hung himself. Police began looking for other family members. They found the bodies of Husnain Warekar and Baffling Warekar on the living room floor. The police began to move upstairs and they found body of Husnain Warekar on the stairs, drenched in blood with her throat just like the other two. Finally, police were upstairs, where in the first room they found the lifeless body of Unfathomable Warekar laying on his bed with his throat. In the next room, the scenario was much worse. There were 8 bodies. Shabina and Maria, along with the 6 children, were found unalive. All of them were killed in the same fashion. In Husnain's room were found the bodies of his 2 daughters, Mubashira and Umaira. Police began their investigation, and to them it was a case of familicide. Soon the Wareker family house was crawling with officials from Kasarwada Valley Police, Crime Branch and the Special Branch which included fingerprint and forensic experts. Even Thane's Commissioner of Police, Parambir Singh, was present at the spot, but no one had any clue why it all had happened. It looked like a case of familicide, but that alone doesn't answer the question why it all had happened. Police, like all of the people from Kasarwada Valley, hordes of whom were gathered outside Wareker's house, were keen on knowing the answer, which at that point could only come from the lone survivor, Sobiya Bharmal, who seemed to be in a traumatic state. Eventually, she gave her account of what happened on the morning of February 28, 2016, and it gave authorities some valuable information to form a timeline of events that took place on the night between February 27 and 28. Here's what Sobiya told authorities. Husnain Warekar had his daughter's 6th birthday on February 27, 2016, and for that he personally invited all of his sisters for dinner on February 27 and invited their husbands on February 28, Sunday, as they were free from work. Sobiya said that she at first rejected the invitation, but Husnain came to her house and went to great lengths to persuade her to attend. 3 relatives who didn't attend declined due to some health issues. The family had dinner together when Husnain gave them faluda laced with something which was later found to be clozapine, a drug for treating schizophrenia. It is used to sedate and induce dizziness. The family went to sleep shortly after, and when Husnain was sure that all were unconscious, he locked all the doors from the inside, took a cleaver used to slaughter animals on Eid, and started killing his whole family one by one. At around 2 a.m., he first unalived his father, then his 2 sisters and their 6 children, and then he went to his room and unalived his own daughters. When he was doing this, his wife Jabin woke up. Shocked, she tried to run downstairs, but Husnain caught her at stairs, held her by hair and slit her throat. That's why police found the body of Jabin Husnain on the stairs. Afterwards, he went to living room where he first killed Batul. The racket caused his mother to wake up, at which she saw Husnain towering over Batul's inert body holding a cleaver. She confronted him, but instead of listening to her supplications and halting this madness forthwith, he slit her throat. Upon seeing the commotion, Sobiya woke up. She screamed upon seeing the horrific scene in front of her eyes. Husnain, who was next coming for her, grabbed her by her hair and tried to kill her, but she somehow managed to escape. But in doing so, she got a deep cut on her neck. She pushed Husnain and locked herself in one of the rooms. Husnain kept on knocking, asking her to open the door, otherwise he would kill her 5-month-old daughter, which he had already done. But Sobiya didn't listen to him and opened the window and started crying for help. The wound on her neck deprived her from screaming loud, so she used a steel cup and started hitting it against the window grill to draw others' attention. Husnain, upon seeing this, went to a room and hanged himself with the cleaver still clutched in his hand, which, if you think about it, doesn't make sense in practical, because as soon as impact hits, it's human instinct to save oneself and the cleaver is bound to fall off, but it didn't. I thought it's important to point out because it just doesn't make sense and sets platform for some of the theories about this case. Police investigation was going on and they interviewed the neighbors and relatives of Warekers. The murder tool, the cleaver, had a sharp 12-inch blade with a silver handle, a custom make from Thane's Ragodi market. Thane police team that had been recording the statements of the residents of Kasarwada Valley for the past couple of weeks in connection with the mass murder learned that the cleaver that Husnain Warekar used was the same one that the locals used to slaughter goats on several occasions over the past 3 years. Warekar used a newly purchased nylon rope to hang himself and had made sure that every window and door leading in or out of the house was locked. Investigators didn't find a note, which was very strange. The incident took place after 2 a.m. He had invited them home for dinner. It might have been planned in advance. We suspect he had spiked their drinks and then slept their thoughts, since there wasn't even a sound as he killed 14 people. We had sent the food sample for forensic testing and didn't find any suicide note. The motive behind the murder is unknown, said DCP VP Chandan Shive. Primary investigations revealed that the accused Husnain used a sharp knife to slit the throats of all 15 members, of whom one escaped with injuries. Days after the incident, Thane police were shooting in the dark when it comes to the motive of 14 family members and then committing suicide, added DCP Chandan Shive. There are many theories presented by both police and internet sleuths, and in the upcoming section of this video, we will discuss them one by one. The first one revolves around Husnain's financial pickle. Even though he had a good job and was getting good salary, but he had lofty ambitions and wanted to do some business. For that reason, he started investing money in online trading and stock exchange, but ended up losing his money. To cut his losses, he started taking loan from his family members, which included his sisters and parents. When they demanded back that money, Husnain thought of ending their lives as his only viable option. Police team checked Husnain Warekar's bank records and found out that he had lost 40 lakh rupees in the stock market and had zero balance left. Husnain was jobless for 2 years and investigators found that he had rented a room in Majivada area, but it was not known what was the purpose behind that. Husnain had a debt to the tune of 68 lakh rupees, and police mentioned financial crisis as a reason for Husnain wiping out his entire family in their summary. The next theory is Sobiya's. She said that Husnain, a shy, timid and ostensibly a religious man, was a fiend behind closed doors. He was abusing their mentally ill sister Batul Warekar. She told police that one day Batul confided in her that Husnain was abusing her, which she told her mother, who confronted Husnain. Husnain's immaculate image in the society was dear to him, so in fear of getting caught, he killed his family. The third theory is based on the medicines police found from Husnain's room. They found sizopin tablets which are used to treat advanced schizophrenia. Police looked for the psychiatrist who had prescribed that medicine to Husnain. Police thought that maybe he was suffering from a mental illness and had a split personality disorder. Another thing worth mentioning is that Husnain was superstitious and his mental issues might have made him delusional, leading him into killing his whole family for occult reasons. Sobiya also told police that in 2012 the whole family was rushed to the hospital due to food poisoning. She said that maybe Husnain poisoned them, but no such case was reported by Warekar family. Despite of all these theories and ideas, police were unable to find a viable motive behind Husnain's actions. So they, only 6 days into investigation, wrapped up the inquest and a charge sheet against Husnain was filed. Husnain's uncle Rizwan Warekar said, "We were not informed about the charge sheet being filed and were not given a copy, which was our right. We still had a lot of questions, but no one to hear us, let alone give answers." The police said that they have completed all formalities. "We have filed a charge sheet and the case is closed. If anyone in the family wants to go through the reports or any other documents, they should move to court. Since then, years have passed, but no one ever dares to live in that house. The only survivor, Sobiya Bharmal, now lives in Bhavindi and avoids anything related to the incident or the house, as it reminds her the tragedy that ended her whole family. We are scared to walk on the road in front of the bungalow. We only go if we are in a group, said a neighbor. Mujib Wareker, Husnain's cousin, appraised the worth of house to approximately 50 lakhs at the time of the incident. We are planning to give half of the bungalow to a madrasa as a part of the cleansing process for those who were killed on February 28, 2016, said Mujib. We open the house once a week to clean it. We are also waiting for police to complete the paperwork. We will then take Sobiya's consent, he said. According to Hindustan Times, Husnain's grandfather Gulzar, age 72, said, "A family from Uttar Pradesh is willing to stay on rent in the house." The theories above were based on police thoughts and Sobiya's statement, but when I was searching this case, I found that something was amiss, something that media was trying to show but police didn't pay heed. The statement of Husnain's uncle Rizwan Warekar was something that roused suspicion of mine, and I dug deeper to bring the whole information to you guys. Husnain uncle Rizwan Warekar said, "He was not like that. If this was the case, why did Sobiya not confide in us?" He is referring to Husnain's alleged abuse of his disabled sister Batul. He had showed his suspicion on Husnain's role in murder and refused to believe in police version of Husnain sexually assaulting his sister. The things that have roused my suspicion are Sobiya's statement, the crime scene, the timeline of the event, and the neighbor's statements. If Husnain killed his entire family, then why he didn't kill Sobiya and ended his own life without leaving any note behind? Sobiya kept on telling police that Husnain had brutally killed all the others, then it was very easy for him to kill Sobiya. He had his entire family to death, including his daughters, but Sobiya survived with just a cut on her neck. It was alleged that the cut she had on her neck was self-inflicted or acquired during a scuffle, possibly with a family member, or Husnain when she was killing them. Second thing was that police found Husnain's body hanging with a nylon rope and a cleaver in his hand, possibly in rigor mortis, but that's not possible. How a person ending his own life still holds on to something in his hand. Strange, isn't it? A person by his neck obviously tries to save himself by using his hands around the neck to escape the noose. Then why in Husnain's case the cleaver didn't fall but remained in his hand even after his death? Another untoward thing is that how in a panic state Sobiya conveniently found a room which window opened outside the house where she could easily get the attention of others. Third thing which is weird is the timeline. Police and Sobiya's statement showed that the happened between 2 to 2:30 am, but neighbors heard Sobiya cry for help at around 4 am. Then if Husnain murdered his lost victim at around 2:30 am, or we can give benefit of doubt and say 3 am, then what was Sobiya doing during the hour between 3 to 4 am with a deep cut to her neck? How she can survive the whole hour without any medical aid? It was also alleged that she knew that the whole neighborhood woke up for Fajr prayer at around 4 am, and her brother regularly offered his prayers and people will notice, so she deliberately used the time of Fajr prayer to catch others' attention. Why only Sobiya knew about Batul's incident? Why everyone else in the house remained ignorant to it? Why only Sobiya refused to attend the dinner? Why she was the only one who knows about Husnain's mental issues? Isn't it strange? When media and police interviewed the whole Kasirwada Valley, they didn't find a single person who spoke ill about Husnain or said anything about his behavior or character. Here are some statements that I'm adding so you guys can guess by it what kind of person Husnain was. Niaz Khan, who was a friend of Husnain, said, "I used to meet him daily, almost 3 to 4 times daily. Never thought that he would do such a thing. We don't believe this. We are yet to come to terms after the incident. He was a 5-time Namazi and was a God-fearing man. We feel sad for the family," another neighbor added. Salim Patel, another neighbor, had this to say, "I still cannot believe this. The building, this is the place from where I pass by every day. Several times I know the family, I know the boy, his family, they are a very good people." In fact, his father-in-law Sufyan Jalil Patel, whose daughter and granddaughters were killed, told the Indian Express, "Because of his hospitality, people would remark that I have found such a great son-in-law." These are just a few statements I have added, but there are a lot of them in Husnain's favor. How a person who was accused of killing his entire kin was defended by his neighbors. Why? How can a family man kill his daughters seemingly without any reason? Is it Husnain who in reality killed his entire kin? Or is there was someone else who was behind all this conspiracy? What happened to Husnain and the entire Wareker family is still a mystery that still has to be solved. Sobiya Bharmal, the lone survivor, was approached by several media personnel for interview, but she always denied and later changed her statement which she had given to police. The crime scene was so horrific that a TV cameraman affiliated to Aaj Tak channel died as he was a heart patient and had an heart attack. The deceased was Ratan Bhaumik. He was in his early 30s and was assigned to cover the incident. He collapsed near Thane Civil Hospital where he passed away. According to resources, he had undergone through angioplasty a year prior to the incident. That's all for today's case, the case of Husnain Warekar and his family. What are your thoughts on this case? What do you guys think? Who might be the killer? What was the motive? Or can someone kill a family due to deaths, mental illness or reputation or whatever? Do let me know in the comment section. Like, share and subscribe for more true crime cases. This is Safa signing off with Crime Pod.